Now for these questions, we're dividing by 100, but apart from 300, the numbers we're dividing are not multiples of 100. They're not numbers that are in the 100 times table. And that means that we're going to get decimals as our answer. So first, we have 2 divided by 100. What we do is write out the number 2 with a decimal point on the end, because remember, we really have an invisible decimal point on the end of every whole number. Now we copy down the decimal point into our answer. Now we're dividing, and whenever we divide by any number larger than 1, the number gets smaller, so the digits are moving to the right. And we're dividing by 100, which has 2 zeros, so the digits are going to move 2 squares to the right. So let's copy down this 2, 1, 2 squares to the right. Now we have some empty squares either side of our decimal point. We know that the place value after the decimal point is the tenths, so we need to write a 0 here to show that the 2 is now in the hundredths column. We also know that the digit before the decimal point is the ones digit, and we can never have an empty ones column, so we need to write 0 in this square as well. That gives us our answer 0.02. Next, we have 30 divided by 100, so we can write out the number 30 with a decimal point on the end and copy down the decimal point. We're dividing by 100, so digits are moving 2 squares to the right. So let's copy down each digit 1, 2 squares to the right. Now we have 0.30. We can't have an empty ones column, so we need to write 0 in our ones before the decimal point. But we also have this 0 on the end of our decimal in our hundredths column. But we know that we can ignore zeros on the end of a decimal. Our answer is just 0.3, because all this 0 tells us is that we don't have any hundredths, but 0.3 tells us that as well. Now we have 32 divided by 100, so we write out the number, copy down the decimal point, and move each digit 2 squares to the right. We can write a 0 in our empty ones column, so that gives us our answer 0.32. Now notice 32 is the same as 30 plus 2, and our answer 0.32 is the same as 0.3 plus 0.02. Now we have 300 divided by 100, and you might already know that the answer is 3, but the method we've used so far will still work even if we have a multiple of 100 that we're dividing. So we can follow the same steps. We can write out the number 300 with a decimal point on the end and copy the decimal point down. We move each digit 1, 2 squares to the right, and that gives us 3.00. But we know that when we have a decimal point and then zeros on the end of a number, we have a whole number, so 3.00 is the same as 3. Now we have 302 divided by 100, so we write out the number, copy down the decimal point, and move each digit 2 squares across. That gives us 3.02, and this time we do need to include the 0, because this 0 shows us that the 2 has moved to the hundredths column. Without the 0, we would have 0.2, but that would be 2 tenths, and we have 2 hundredths. So if we have zeros between other digits, we need to include them in our answer. It's only if they're on the end of decimals that we can ignore them. Finally, we have 332 divided by 100, so we write out the number, copy down the decimal point, and move each digit 2 squares to the right. That gives us our answer 3.32, and notice 3.32 is the same as 3 plus 0.32, and that's because 332 is the same as 300 plus 32. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that was helpful. If you're a teacher or a parent, then please subscribe or go to keystage2maths.com to download resources for this lesson and many more. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.